All right, the United States taking down Bosnia and Herzegovina tonight in the 2026 FIFA World Cup. So the U.S. men's team heading to Seattle to take on Belgium on Monday night. A lot to get to with this game. And first, I'm wearing a Celtics hat because here in Boston, we are mourning the trade of Jaylen Brown to the Philadelphia 76ers. A lot of unhappy people about that. Some things in the soccer match that were also making me and many others unhappy. This red card on Flo Balogun, we'll talk about that. But at the end of the day, this is a big boy win for this U.S. men's team. Coming into this tournament, wasn't entirely sure what to expect. They had not looked great in the friendlies, especially back in March. Things seem to be getting better. There's all the Gold Cup drama from a year ago. What team are we going to see out there? Are they really together? Are they really putting themselves on the line for their country? Are they more focused on their brands? Are they more focused on their clubs? Well, we got a very good answer after the group, and we got a great answer tonight. Bosnia, not the best team in the world, of course, but when you go down a man, arguably your best player right now, and you're still able to secure another goal and win 2-0, that is big boy stuff. So coming into this one, U.S. men's team topping the group, Bosnia finishing with 4 points. And of course, for this match, we knew that Bosnia was going to park the bus. I'll never forget being in the North End watching Bosnia knock Italy out of World Cup qualification, and Italy took an early lead in that game. And Bosnia came back, found a decisive moment to strike, tie the game, extra time, and then won it on penalty kicks. So for me, watching this game, I wanted the U.S. to get out to an early lead, and they had moments in the first half where they were able to have possession. They were able to have some dangerous looks, some missed opportunities, a couple crosses in, got to someone, maybe short post, weren't able to turn around. I remember one specific moment with Flo Balogun, who wasn't able to turn it back on net, went a little bit wide, missed target there. Freeze had a couple early saves. He was someone I wanted to see take some hits, take some action today, because obviously Matt Turner started the last game in the group stage. So Matt Freeze really hadn't been all too tested so far in this World Cup. I wanted to see him get some shots. He had some big saves. He had a very close to being a missed opportunity until Chris Richards saved his bacon in the second half late there, coming out for service in and completely missed it. So glad to see the defenders stepping up there. And this is something I was talking on 98.5 The Sports Up here in Boston with Joe Murray a couple of weeks ago, was I wanted to see the defense of the U.S. We have seen this entire tournament. They have been attacking. They have been creating a lot of dangerous looks. But to me, it was, Tim Ream at 38 years old. Chris Richards was a little bit banged up. What is this team going to look like defensively? And so having another clean sheet, their second clean sheet of the World Cup, I think is a huge thing moving forward. I think it's also really important that they were able to hold on after going down to 10 men. All right, so let's start back at the beginning here. I took notes during this game because there were so many things I wanted to talk about. So let's talk about it. So there was a potential PK early on in the game. Balogun looked like he got clipped right in the calf area. I don't think that was ever going to be a red card. I don't think it was ever going to be a penalty kick. I think they got that call right, which a lot of others, I would say tonight, they did not get correct. I think that one was the right call. I don't think he should have been giving a penalty kick for that one. It looked like Balogun was maybe trying to gain the call there from the referee. A couple times they were offsides tonight. Balogun was offsides for the first goal that came off the board because of offsides, but it was a great finish. And honestly, Flo Balogun has been the most exciting player to watch, I'd say, consistently for this U.S. men's national team. Their leading goal scorer with 3 so far. He's just been a lot of fun. And coming into this tournament, he's something we were talking about when it comes to the U.S. Okay, we know we have Weston McKennie and Tyler Adams. We know we have Christian Pulisic getting out wide, creating chances. But who's going to be the one to actually score the goals? It's obvious that Flo Balogun is that guy. He was incredible over in France. He had, was it a 9 or 10 game goal streak heading into this World Cup with his club. And he was just having a very impressive year, and he is very much in form, and he has continued that with the U.S. men's national team. We'll get to the red card in a minute here, but I do want to give him a shout-out for just how impressive he is and how much fun he is to watch. When he has the ball at his feet somewhere in a dangerous area inside the penalty box, it is must-see TV. So it was getting a bit chippy at times. We're getting closer to the end of the first half, and I was getting a little worried that the U.S. had their opportunities. They were knocking on the door, but we're going to go into halftime 0-0. I didn't want that. I wanted to get a goal before halftime so that Bosnia had to react to that. And when they came out in the second half, whether it was substitutions or maybe being a little bit more attack-minded than they were in the first half, you would see some changes and maybe open up the game a bit for the United States. Thankfully, they were able to do that. Balogun really just had, off a big turnover, just incredible press from the United States at that point, really caused that turnover, and Balogun was able to just make a move, put it into the back of the net. And that is what goal scorers do. For so many years, it seemed like the U.S. was able to create some chances here and there, but they didn't have a consistent number 9 up top that was able to just put these away. And it's so refreshing to see that in a guy who's overseas playing really well and then taking that into a World Cup. And just the overall vibes, obviously, I would say right now are incredible. Again, we weren't sure what we were going to get with this team. And right now, looking at their matchup next week, which we'll talk about a little bit, they should be in the quarterfinals. There's a little tease for you. They had a couple great looks, a few missed set pieces in the first half, a couple opportunities on corners and direct kicks, free kicks into the box. They kept seeming to choose short post on some of those, and it was just tough for attacking players receiving the ball to really be able to turn their bodies and get shots on the net, make the goalie work. I know that was something Stu Holden was talking about multiple times tonight when he's talking about, all right, get shots on target, make the goalie work. And I agree with that philosophy. Sometimes it's a little bit like hockey where it's you just want pucks on net. Sometimes it's just send the ball in the net, or excuse me, not in the net, towards the goalie, on net. Yeah, you want it in the net, of course. But sometimes just creating traffic. I mean, we saw that Malik Tillman goal in the second half. That was impressive. Just getting it up and down, make the goalie work. Sometimes if the goalie's a step behind, that's what's going to happen. Tyler Adams got banged up. Things got a little bit physical. I mean, they had a couple massive defenders on Bosnia. One of their guys, 6'7". It's not something you see on a football pitch very often. And then, so again, halftime, they go in with the lead. That's where you want to be. And then the second half starts with the U.S. again, seemingly controlling possession, seemingly in control of the game. And that red card was horrific. I don't know why that was a red card. If someone wants to kind of explain that one, to me, it just seemed kind of odd that when you go to the VAR, that's what you're focusing on in the sense of in real time. Wasn't a yellow card. It was a foul, wasn't a yellow card. And you look at it in slow motion, it's like, okay, yep, where his foot is compared to the athlete on Bosnia there. I could understand it being a foul, even a yellow card, but to send him off because of VAR, that's not the point of VAR. I think that's ridiculous. And so obviously you have a little bias in being a U.S. men's national team supporter, but then it's also, this is one of the best players at the World Cup right now with how he's been playing. You don't want to see that guy taken off. You don't want to see that guy miss the next game. So to me, it's incredibly frustrating that for the next 30-plus minutes, the U.S. is down to 10 men because of VAR. And yes, I'm comparing this to the Messi non-call from the group stages against Algeria, I want to say, where it was, if anything, VAR should have absolutely called that a red card as cleats go down the back of someone's lower leg on their Achilles. That doesn't get called, but this one was not as egregious as that. Red card, the U.S.'s top scorer, out of the game. And they were talking about it on the broadcast, how his family's in the front row there, and obviously devastated. Of course, Flo Balogun was devastated by that call. I just think it's bullshit, quite frankly, that something like that happens in this game because of VAR. I think VAR needs to be used and make the obvious decisions. And from everything I felt and everything I'm seeing and talking to other soccer reporters from across this country, no one seems to be in agreement that that was the right call. Everyone seems to agree that it was the wrong call. So to me, that's incredibly frustrating that that happens and you lose one of your best players. So moving forward in that game, you're wondering, okay, well, how does the U.S. change things? You're now down to 10. The opponents, Bosnia, need a goal just to tie it, and that's their game plan. They just want to be draw. They want to have a draw so they can get to extra time and hopefully get to PKs. We saw them do that to Italy a few months ago to knock them out of qualifiers. That's what a lot of these teams, these underdogs, want to do: park the bus, hope for a draw. whether it's 0-0 or the other team scores, they have a quick counter at some point and are able to catch them off guard. Thankfully, the U.S., and that's why I think this is a big boy win, was able to weather the storm. Again, for 30 plus minutes, they're down. And not only do they weather it, they get that free kick that Malik Tillman sends over the wall and right into the back of the net. I mean, that was an impressive free kick from Malik Tillman. And he's someone coming into this. You weren't exactly sure in particular about him. Is he a starter? Is he coming off the bench? And he has been a huge player for this team from the last couple of friendlies onward. And he has been very important to this United States men's national team. And to think that in that moment, if that goal doesn't go in, they're still defending for another 10 additional minutes. So you're talking for another while there for several minutes. What was the time on that goal? I don't actually think I have that in my notes. Do I have it in my notes? I don't think I do. But for the rest of that game, you're still defending for your life because it's one goal. You got a little breathing room. You get that insurance. That is huge. That is huge. You can talk about the substitutes if maybe Pochettino should have been making some substitutions a little bit sooner. I was suspecting that maybe some of the attackers would come off and maybe a defender would replace because you are down a man, even when they were only down or up a goal, 1-0. But Pochettino obviously played it right. This all worked out in the end. Pulisic also had a goal, was called back because of offsides. So their second disallowed goal because of offsides. I know there's a lot of debates right now with, in particular, American journalists and American soccer fans talking about how offsides in soccer's some of the worst rule, or was one of the worst rules you can have in professional sports. I think people just need to watch it a little bit longer. I think people just see a couple of these calls, the ones that make the headlines, the ones that go viral on social media, and oh, that rule's terrible. It makes sense. You got to watch some more games, watch some more matches. And if you compare it to some of the other sports, it's really not all that different. So just give it a time. Give it some time. All right, so substitutions, Berhalter, Pepe, they come in. Pulisic and Serginho Dest come out. I thought that was an interesting decision to bring in Pepe. I thought, if anything, maybe you're just bringing on that extra defender, but maybe with Balogun missing the next game, you want to get him some looks, get him some time out there with some of the guys. So at the end of the day, all right with that. Matt Fries, that near missed opportunity for Bosnia. I was talking about 89th minute, really just some bad judgment there, coming out for a cross and completely whiffed. Bosnia frantically trying to put that in the back of the net. Thankfully, Chris Richards is there. It looked like Freeze on the replay actually had gotten back to the short side there to potentially make a save, but Chris Richards, another guy you just can't undervalue how important he has been. Local guy, Miles Robinson from Arlington, Massachusetts, when he has been in there for Richards, whether it was friendlies or some of the other moments in this World Cup, there is Chris Richards is very good. We'll say that. Chris Richards has been incredibly good. I know a lot of Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams, and Flo Balogun talk, but on the defense, Chris Richards has by far been their most consistent defender, which is not a surprise, but it's impressive to see what he's done. And it's just really awesome to see at each level they have at least one player who's really performing consistently well and very well throughout this tournament. And then later in the game, Gio Reyna goes in for Weston McKennie. Weston McKennie was everywhere tonight. So I'm glad to see him kind of just get, all right, we'll sit you down for a few minutes here, give him a little bit of a rest. He's played a lot of minutes, and he's been all over the place. So he was making plays late in that game, definitely starting to piss off some of the Bosnia guys. So that was cool to see that it wasn't just, all right, we scored our second goal, we're just going to sit back now and not care. I mean, some of the worst matches you ever watch as a fan is when your team's up a goal or two, they sit back and ask Senegal about that. All of a sudden, in the 85th minute, you're up 2-0, and then you're going to extra time because you let in 2 late goals, and you end up losing on PKs. So for the U.S., again, I think the big point here, this is a big boy win. This was a knockout game. Yes, it was a home crowd in California, in the Bay Area, but you're down a man. That was shocking in itself, and it's Flo Balogun, and you're not only able to hold on, you're able to add to your total, get 2 goals, and win the match. Bosnia's pesty too. This isn't. You can look at the FIFA rankings and say, oh well, this team, that team. I mean, look at Cape Verde in the season they've had, or the World Cup that they've had, the tournament they've had. You can't take teams lightly. I mean, Germany the other day had an opportunity here in Foxborough to put away Paraguay, weren't able to do it, and lost on PKs in their home. The U.S. has made it further than Germany, a team they lost their last friendly to in Chicago about a week or so before the World Cup started. This is an exciting time. If you're a U.S. men's national team fan, this is an exciting time. And I think the big reason why is as you look at the brackets and where teams finish, and if you finish first, second, third, what does that mean? Where are you going? What's your path to the semifinals or the finals? Who do you have to go through to get to those places? All right, well, the next stop for them is in Seattle, a place they've played already. They've been on the West Coast for this entire tournament, and now they're going to face Belgium. And Belgium had a great comeback, as I was just talking about, against Senegal earlier today. I watched that and could not believe that Senegal bungled that. I know Senegal's been all over the place. A team the U.S. beat in a friendly leading up to the World Cup. I was asked on 98.5 The Sports Hub tonight if I had a preference. If the U.S. beats Bosnia, who would you rather play? Senegal? Would you rather play Bosnia? Play Belgium. Wasn't totally sure in the sense of, okay, well, Belgium's maybe more proven as a soccer nation recently, but they have some older players. And then Senegal have probably a better attack and some more players like in form right now. Sadio Mane, some of the other guys. Their attack looked really good today. Some of those Dara, they just looked really impressive. And so that kind of scares me because I think my biggest question mark is still consistent defending for the U.S. I think at this point we've seen that they create chances and they don't have a problem with that. If they can continue defending this way, there's no reason why they can't make a deep run. I mean, at this point, depending on who you talk to, you could say this is a deep run, getting to the round of 16. And then if you beat Belgium on Monday night, you're in the quarterfinals. You're in the Elite Eight. And that's awesome. I think that was, for me, if they get to the quarterfinals, that's a very good showing for them at this tournament. And depending on who that matchup could be, I mean, man, you get to the semifinals and now we're cooking with gas here. And I love that. I love that. It's so exciting to think about because I think the longer this team is in the tournament, the better it's going to be for soccer in this country, for Major League Soccer, for people just starting to realize, like, hey, I do enjoy this. This has been a cultural phenomenon across the United States and North America. It's been just so cool. And so as we look at that matchup with Belgium, Kevin De Bruyne came out in this matchup against Senegal today. A couple of their best players, including KDB, come out and they're able to score late. I remember when they were being substituted, the announcers were like, wow, all right, Belgium's taking off their captain, taking off one of their best players. It obviously worked out for them. So I think if you're the U.S., which they've been able to do in most of these games, score early, get ahead. And it's not to say that Belgium can't come back. We literally saw that today. But I think the U.S. have the ability to wear on teams. And one of the goals earlier, it was the first Balogun goal. They were pressing up high, and they were able to get Bosnia in an uncomfortable situation where they have these, kind of big, broody center backs, like I was talking about earlier. And you're able to put them in positions that are tough, where maybe they don't have the best passing ability. They're not able to work in sort of the tight quarters that maybe some of the other world's best defenders can. That leads to the kind of mix up there. And then that mix up leads to a turnover, and Flo Balogun is able to make it some magic happen in front of the net and score a goal. If they can continue pressing, I like that. I don't think this Belgium defense is all too impressive. I don't think really anyone can just shut down the U.S. I think they've honestly earned a lot of our trust in thinking that they should be able to score. It shouldn't be a scoring problem moving forward. Is it 1, 2, or 3? And can you defend and keep the other team below that? Which maybe sounds very simplistic, but I've seen so many years of Spanish teams and other teams where they 1-0 you to death. They get their one goal and you're just not getting by their defense. I don't see that team right now in this World Cup. I mean, obviously we've seen a ton of goals, a ton of stars are showing up, which is really exciting. So for the U.S., I like this matchup. Beat Belgium. Hashtag it, beat Belgium. If you're able to do that, man, this is going to be awesome. And I hope so many people who are watching tonight really enjoyed that match. You can be pissed at that call, as I am, because the thing going into that match now is, all right, who is replacing Flo Balogun? Is it going to be Pepe up top? I would think that's probably the likely person based off some of the friendlies leading up to the World Cup and then the first few games. Is Haji Wright going to get in there? Is Gio Reyna going to get in there? We'll have to see, of course, but that is the biggest question, at least for that game against Belgium. We know they're going to create chances with Pulisic down the side, Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams, Malik Tillman. They're going to create the chances. Balogun's been on a heater. So who is replacing him up top, and can they get the job done? Or maybe is this a game where Pulisic breaks out and it's not about service into the box and creating chances. He's creating and scoring them himself. Obviously, that would be awesome, and that would be a ton of fun to watch. Christian Pulisic do that after such a turbulent year in Milan. If he's able to really put his staple onto this World Cup tournament for the United States and lead them into the quarterfinals, my God, that would be absolutely huge for this team. Wow, I talked for 21 minutes. I wasn't expecting that. All right, so appreciate it. U.S. men's team, Belgium, Monday night. I'm going to be at a watch party in Lowell, Massachusetts tomorrow for Portugal. Portugal and Croatia. It's going to have my anxiety through the roof, I think, because Portugal's been very disappointing for this World Cup for this guy, grandfather's from Portugal. So hoping for the best there. Again, so happy for the United States men's national team. Wasn't a perfect night. The referee certainly wasn't perfect, but exciting stuff from this team. And hopefully someone fills that role of Balogun and they get the job done on Monday night.